Hola, ¿cómo está? Bien YouTube. Canadian Conquistador here again. Being prepared sometimes is not that easy, especially when it's making sacrifices for the better of yourself in the future. This video is going to go into depths in why you should quit alcohol, see drugs if you can, get off them now. When the SHTF happens, these things might be inaccessible and cause you to go through withdrawal, severe physical problems. You may not live through it. So while these times are good, I implore you to stop drinking now. I don't really know where to start with this video. I want to make this video on preparing for the unknown, but there's a prep. A lot of people don't realize the prep, and it involves a sober mind. If stuff does happen, there's going to be certain substances such as alcohol, medication, pharmaceuticals. 8 months ago, I was relying upon alcohol as a crutch. I felt that in the near future I'm going to have a sober mind. I went into rehab because I didn't feel like I could monitor myself coming off of alcohol. I was drinking every day as a wind down after work, out of routine mostly. I've been doing it since my 20s. I was approached, given some options, and one of the options was get help. So I agreed to this, and I put myself into a detox program 7 months ago. 7 months ago, I brought my phone into the detox place, and I was filming like a day 1, day 2, day 3 type of thing. And I wanted to document the whole thing and put it on this video, but God had other plans. He didn't want this video to go that route, I guess. So I ended up losing about half an hour worth of this video to the digital cloud in the sky. I think we all need to prepare. I think alcohol is kind of an accepted substance. To go to work, come home, work hard, relax, wind yourself down, put you to sleep, right? Well, that was basically the story of my life, but I do realize in the future that's going to be a crutch, especially if you are drinking on a daily basis. I could see where alcohol, tobacco, illegal drugs, illegal substances, and pharmaceutical drugs are going to be more of a crutch for you. And if you can get off them now while everything's good times, you're going to have a lot less problems when S hits the fan. So I decided to go through this detox process and get myself off this alcohol. I was more worried about the physical part of it than the mental part. I was more worried about maybe going through physical withdrawal, so I really wanted to do it through a program. I went 2 months into a detox in a rehab facility, and I came out. I've been living at home sober since. It's been about 7 months now, 150 days roughly of no alcohol. I'd like to say that I feel better. I'd like to say that I feel like a sober mind's a better mind, but at this point I'm not there yet. We'll see how it's getting worse. There might not be alcohol in good supply, and I didn't want to be at the point where I did anything or gave up anything to achieve or to gain these substances just for my own pleasure. This is how this story begins.
Hi.
See ya.
Okay, good luck.
Going up those stairs into a place I've never been before, it was kind of terrifying. There's no pamphlets or internet websites that describes what you're going to be going into. Only left to your imagination things that would be. But I had to do it for myself, for family and friends. And taking the first step is the important one. If we are addicted to a substance such as alcohol, painkillers, psychological, or illegal drugs in a world without law, our addictions will become compounded with the other factors of just surviving another day. Imagine the wanting crave interfering with our everyday functions in a time in which we need heightened senses, something that the human body and mind instinctively possesses. However, within our addiction, that numbing completely inhibits our ability to instinctively act, move, or react how we may want to when we need to, or it changes our survival priorities. We may become a hunter for such things out of our unimaginable desperities, leading us to perhaps make reckless decisions that does not equate to our moral standards. Could we possibly become that monstrosity of a human being that we swore we would never become? It is quite possible, and not so unreasonable, that in search of substances, mankind may do things that are unimaginably immoral in hopes to satisfy that dependency, and repeat on a need-to basis. Dependency meaning you will need something outside your basic needs, and possibly you will ignore some of your basic needs to satisfy something our physiology does not require. When do we plan on having downtime to use substances anyhow? If we are living day by day in induced stress situations on an empty stomach, thirsty, exhausted, scared, sick from withdrawal, hidden or moving across the countryside, just when will we have time to satisfy the uncontrolled want for a buzz? Well, here lies our dilemma. Our mind and body are going to overtake our reasonable mind, and we're going to use substances just as we are using them now. If we're a wind down at night guy or gal, or a social drinker, or just use drugs as a doctor prescribes, we're going to most likely continue this habit until our stash runs dry. The addictive mind is going to tell you it's okay to drink right now, pass out, and everything will be okay in the morning. This inside voice will most likely always win the argument you offer in exchange. However, we're setting ourselves up for disaster, but you won't care, nor will the addictive mind see the consequences until it is too late. So we say to ourselves that we will just quit drinking, drugs, or prescriptions when shit hits the fan while watching YouTube videos about prepping and downing another beverage. We casually ponder this idea while sipping on that drink, saying, "Self, I got this. I don't have a problem. I will be okay without my drink." Realistically think about this statement and reflect upon what we are doing now. Could we really just go cold turkey if we have spent a substantial amount of time with the luxury of electric refrigeration and cold draft beers to awaken to the realization that these luxuries, as well as all other tangibles, have simply departed from our lives, away like asphalt in a nuclear lava flow? The real truth is that we will get to a point in which our addictive mind will serve as master, and we will inevitably become a liability. Will we become a liability? I know that a few of us think this is something we have complete control over and will never become an issue. We romanticize SHTF as fantasized versions of ourselves wearing outlandish costumes with beefed up vehicles, exploring and exploiting everything in our path with a brew in one hand and a gun in the other. However, the harsh reality is that substances will become scarce, and if we are one of those that did not kick our habits when the times were good, we will become nothing more than a glorious mop-up of a half-shelled being who is in need of taking care of, probably in every situation we find ourselves in. I ask this: who's going to take first watch while we get lit? Better question yet, who's taking second watch? Who would we want watching over us while we slept? All programs mostly will deal with AA at some point or the other. 12-step programs in rehab are very common. I don't have anything bad to say about AA. I do have a preference though. That is, I'm looking for a group that's mostly Christian, because most of the Zoom meetings that we're doing during COVID are secular, a lot of agnostics and atheists. The only rule for AA and the 12 steps is that you believe in a higher power. And there lies the problem with me, and this might not bother you. in particular, but for me, your higher power can be anything from a tree to a baseball bat to tennis shoes to whatever denomination of religion you have. My higher power, though, I believe is the only true higher power. That's probably common in all religions, but I seriously believe that my higher power is the ultimate authority. And in these groups, you're going to see a lot of unhappy people that have been sober for many, many, many years. I believe that's because their higher power is not the true higher power. That's all I got to say on this. Just expect this and pick your groups wisely. They're not all the same for sure. Figure out what's best for you. Day 42. It is also New Year's Eve. Yep, New Year's Eve. This will be my first New Year's Eve sober in a long, long time. This marks the end of my stay here in inpatient rehab. I am now going to go out to CIOP. Now I show up for drug tests, alcohol tests, of course. I do classes 3 nights a week from 6 to 9. They are classes that I've been taking here, but they're continued on the outside, and I get to work, go back to work, go home in the morning. I'm gonna really look forward to going home finally, even though I'm cutting it off by half. I was supposed to do 90 days as the recommended stay here. I miss my dog, I miss my girlfriend, I miss her family. Yeah, it's all gonna go back to somewhat normalcy, except one thing: I'm not gonna be drinking. So day 43. Sad feeling leaving this place. That's kind of weird to say, huh? Bittersweet. That's what I was trying to say. It was bittersweet leaving this place. But, you know, I gotta get on to regular life. Pretty gloomy day today. Can't wait for the sun. It's supposed to be sunny all the rest of the week. And I'll be back to work in like 3 days, so. And just how it began is so the midpoint ends. I was picked up by this ride and dropped off at Detox up in the mountains, and here I'm leaving rehab and getting picked up the same way. Here we go. Here's my ride, guys. Oh yeah.
Who's that?
Pondering the aforementioned, if we have not entertained that this idea could become a real possibility, if getting a handle on our drinking is more idealistic rather than realistic, I would have to question our seriousness about any of our preps to date. Perhaps those are more or less just a collection of big boy toys that satisfy a lust for objects rather than a means for survival. Or perhaps this whole idea of being ready for catastrophe is founded in doubt, a deep, real secret kept to oneself, but we just play along just in case. If being sober has not become a retired goal, it equates to someone dreaming to play in the big leagues, who puts on the outfit, oils their expensive glove, winks at the camera, but only throws the ball twice a week. Eventually the half-asses, the slacker, the lazy, and the leech will have another type of sobriety, a sober realization that they are not prepared nor ready. Reality will not fall into our fantasized role-playing grand illusions of how it's supposed to be. Reality will not fall into seemingly simple 1+1 equations, practice simulations, predictions, or scenarios. And if it were that easy, then we could survive staying recreationally drunk, a half man. Know that this subject adds to insult and cuts to the bone for some. I may have ignored the fact that feelings may be hurt during the process of discussing this topic. A quick way to know if oneself is past being just a casual drinker is to notice our thoughts to this video's ideas, a feeling of anger at these words, or a feeling that one's body temperature is increased, especially in the face, is a sure sign from past experience that the addictive mind is a real thing, and it's working right this very second. You see, the addicted mind stands guard. It wants nothing to do with reason or logic. The addicted mind acts as sentries to the pleasure dome. Literally, it is in self-preservation mode, even at the very mentioning of its extinction. Only oneself really knows if they are past the stages of early addiction. For some, the The logic centuries are far stronger than our wise mind's will. This is where rehab could help if you are serious. Rehab has always been in the back of my mind as a place in which I would have to go one day. However, left to the addictive mind, I would have always had an excuse to put it off for another time. The biggest factors really keeping me back from going to rehab was 1, I really enjoyed the feeling and ritual of drinking, and 2, the fear of the unknown of what is involved with committing myself to a detox facility, or even if it was necessary. Alright, 64 days sober. This is my garage. I went from working at the rehab to here, and I had to carve out a niche so I could lift weights in here. But I'm feeling good. I'm still a little blurry minded, but yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks since I videoed. Yeah, like I said, I'm feeling good. Continue this workout routine. I haven't started running yet. I haven't joined a jiu-jitsu class like I planned to yet, but that's on the horizon. One thing first, baby steps first. You know what I'm talking about. Wow, it seems like these videos are getting farther and farther apart. Yeah, this is day 71. Sober. Beautiful day out. It's like 64 degrees. Things are going good. I still have meetings to attend at night 3 times a week. It's making me very exhausted though, because I am in these meetings till 9 o'clock at night, and then now I have to drive to the actual building, and by the time I get home it's 10 o'clock, and then I gotta set my alarm for 2:30, and I wake up at 2:30 and go to work, and it's leaving me super exhausted these days. So February 14th, Valentine's Day, will be my last day for those meetings, thank God. So here we are at 151 days sober from the time I started this whole venture. I wanted to end this video saying that don't be afraid of rehab if you think that that's where you need to be. If you think that that's the only way out for you, you're going to have a lot of doctors' help. They're going to put you on medication to help with the withdrawals. You may not even go through withdrawal. There's a lot of psychological classes that you'll be taking, a lot of group meetings. There's no lab coats, there's no strapping you in beds, stuff like that. Most of the time you're sitting in a robe and just lounging, having coffee all day. Just like the typical movies, I guess, that have that. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be throwing toilet bowls out the window, breaking out and running away. Yeah, it's been a venture. I still struggle every day. Every day I want to have a drink, I want to have a beer. It's a great way of winding down. My solution to this was to just go to bed early, whenever I get that craving and that need, that feeling. But like I said, if you need help, there's places on the internet you can look up. You can look up your local facilities that will talk you through it. I hope you got something from this video. I hope it wasn't too sinister, but you know what? In the future, you're gonna want to be sober. I'm telling you that right now. When all this stuff goes down, you're gonna want to be sober. That's your number one prep. That's what you should have. I did it during this pandemic. Probably not the easiest time to do it, but I did it. And here I am, 151 days in, and you can do it too. So until then, adios. We'll see ya.